This is Infection, the survival podcast, recorded live on Tuesday, July the 19th, 2022, episode 392. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome into another edition of Infection, the survival podcast. Infection is your source for the latest information on survival video games. My name is Nick Craig. You can check out my website, nickcraig.com. You want to check out my daily political antics. It's the Wilmington's Morning News podcast. You can also find links to all of my various social media platforms and channels there as well, nickcraig.com, and of course our website, infectionpodcast.com as well. Can't do this thing alone. Joining me as he does with a very young child also, Brian with an eye, Aldridge. Brian, have you? I assume you haven't had a chance to do any video gaming in the last 6 days.
I have not been.
Here.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah, I am going to hockey tonight, so
Okay.
that's like my first real thing. I'm going out to kind of normalcy, but yeah, we've been mostly home. I've been doing work, taking a little bit of time off, partial hours for each day, kind of ramping up to normal hours. But everything's been going smoothly and good. My wife's been trying to catch up on sleep, but it's good. So everything is going wonderfully. If you want to find me, you can find me at Brian Aldridge on Gab, Parler, Getter, Truth Social. Or you can check out my blog, biteoftech.com. If you want to go check out our website, I encourage you to go to infectionpodcast.com. And on the right-hand side, you'll see where you can join our server on Discord. And if you do that, there is a politics channel. We've got a news channel. Or if maybe there's a topic that you think we should cover, something that maybe you think we've missed or something we haven't been covering, go ahead and jump in there. And you can post a link, and we will review it before the live show. And that way you can give some feedback and input into what we put on the air. If you want to catch the video forms of the podcast, you can do that through the Twitch, YouTube, BitChute, and DLive. And then the lower right hand's all the podcast forms. So whatever platform device, you could listen to it on your computer. A lot of ways to do that, but those are recorded and then uploaded after the show is done. So you can't do those live like the video. But if you are listening to it after the fact, you're more than welcome to jump to the show notes for that particular episode, because we'll have those listed for all the different things that we reference through our live show. So links for videos, source material, anything that we refer to, we will have it on there, and a nice little audio and video player built
source
in.
Material.
So yes, so it works out very well. And so also, if you want to support the show, we got infectionpodcast.com/support, or there's a tab up top for support. People do Prime Gaming subs and Humble Bundle and a lot of different ways you get subscribe stars, a lot of ways that you can do that, and we appreciate it, because hopefully there will be a live show in person at a convention or something here soon, which would be a lot of fun to do. Everything's been crazy with COVID, but maybe it'll go back to normal once things change. How about that?
Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, what do we want to start off with this week? We got a whole bunch of I don't want to talk about.
There's a topic we brought up.
Yeah,
there's a topic in the post show that we talked about a little bit about BMWs. I think that might be an interesting conversation, because this is something that I did not realize was happening. And these BMWs, they have microtransactions in a car. Now you hear go ahead.
Let me say, this is in South Korea right now. That is where this is being done. I don't know if the plan is to expand that, and honestly, I don't know anything about South Korean culture, so I don't know if this is I'm not sure if this is crazy or not. It sounds crazy. The idea of it isn't.
Sounds crazy to me.
It might be,
but look at all the things we accept here, though.
Oh, exactly. And so I'm just premising that out there, and then go ahead.
Okay, so I opened this up, and they started talking about things. There are things that maybe I would do microtransactions for a car for, but let's talk about some of the things that they're actually doing microtransactions on a car for. First of all, these things are for like the integration of your phone with the vehicle screens and audio systems. Here, that's
CarPlay.
built in. You don't pay for it. That costs $80 a year to do in South Korea. They did that, and then this one. Sorry, that wasn't South Korea. That's something they tested here, and then they did that in 2019. People got really upset here, and then they turned that around. But of course in South Korea, they must not have gotten as much pushback, because there to heat your seats, it costs $18 a month. Or if you wanted to pay a one-time fee, you could pay $415 for unlimited heating your seats in your vehicle. And you know, he's got a list of some of these on the screen right now for those that are listening. Now, are those pounds? Is that what is that?
No, that's whatever. That's whatever. That's whatever.
Yen or whatever. Yeah, whatever they do.
Their currency is. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, and so the same thing. That's $450 US for that. You know, whatever their drive connected feature there for front seat heating is 15 whatever's a month. Right. Steering wheel heating 10 whatever's a month. GPS you have to pay for.
Hold on, Brian. Let me be clear. I am not a microtransaction person in any way, shape, or form. I think I've made that abundantly clear. Why are we not giving and why are we not having the same amount of outrage with Tesla and Elon Musk, Brian? He does the same shit with the Tesla. You have to pay to give more people. You can give people remote access to your car. You can buy an add-on auto drive feature, which, by the way, he's already charged people upwards of $15,000 for this auto drive add-on feature. He sold the car to them with the idea that this car is going to, when you're at work, it's going to be driving around autonomously doing Uber and generating you income. Then none of that has happened. These things are still killing people just driving in cities across the country. Why are we so surprised by this? Elon Musk, everybody loves Elon Musk and he's doing the same shit. Why do we care if BMW is doing it?
I heard the head of that department left the company. So who knows if part of that flack has fallen back on him. You know, he's fallen on the sword for that.
He does need to. Well, Elon Musk does need to fall on the sword because that's how he promoted it in these stupid press conferences. Mm-hmm. Oh, you can go. You will be at work, and your car will be out driving, and it will make you all this money. These things barely have lane assist, which is a standard that every other car company offers and has offered for the last decade.
Yep.
I don't know why we're so outraged about this with BMW when we love it that Elon Musk does it. We love to spend $15,000 for full self-driving, which, by the way, you don't even get yet. You pay for it. Yeah. It's still not available. I'm not saying I agree with the BMW thing, but I feel like there's a huge, and I'm not saying you are, but there just seems to be a huge level of inconsistency here. We love Elon Musk. He's our champion. He's doing it. We hate BMW, what everybody's saying, oh, this is late-stage capitalism. I saw that a million times this week. Oh, here's late-stage capitalism again. But we love Elon Musk doing it.
Well, and I think here's my line in the sand. It's because I think there are things that they can. For instance, the self-driving feature, I think that would take very regular software updates. It may take things that, it's connecting with their servers to be able to process things, something like that. I could see a subscription service for that. But when you're talking about heated seats, turning on heated seats, that's a hardware that could be a toggle switch in your car. If it can run on a toggle switch, it doesn't need a software update. Doesn't need any interaction from the outside of the vehicle. That's where I think that they're crossing the line. Just like,
look at this.
My line in games. Go ahead.
Here's Tesla Model S anti-theft upgrade. Now there is some things that come with it. There is some hardware.
It has two window decals. That's great.
Come on.
And then the hardware, a sensor. You're paying for the sensor for $350.
I get that, but you're spending $85,000, $89,000, $95,000 on a Model S, and they're going to charge you $350 for a sensor.
You can't include the anti-theft,
But notice it says 2012 through 2022. The Tesla hasn't been out since 2012, so I don't know exactly.
Maybe was like their early test models that weren't
SKUs
officially,
or something. Yeah. I'm not sure exactly.
They may have ones that were created back then but weren't yet available to the public.
Yeah. It will warn against potential theft with an audible alarm. It increases your vehicle protection with an active sensor technology designed to detect motion inside of the cab, as well as sense if the vehicle is moved or tilted. And this is $350.
Okay, so
on an $80,000+ car.
They also have in here the ability to add engine sounds. Now, that one I don't really care as much because it's not limiting your use of the car. Whether or not I have on a mostly electric vehicle, whether or not I have okay, if someone's stupid enough to pay for that and not just if they really want that, put a CD in the car that has, engine sounds, if that's what you really want. That I'm not as frustrated with, because that is a totally optional feature that can be added to your car. Now, it's way overblown on the cost that I remember seeing, but if it's a hardware device that I already have paid for, that you're just now allowing me to flip the switch on. But what do we do with our phones? We allow them to limit us on our phones and tell us that we can't uninstall apps from a hardware device that we purchase. We accept it in our own ways, in different ways. So really, I have the same complaint about a phone. That's why I got a OnePlus, because there was less of that. Because Samsung put so much stuff that slowed down phones and Motorola put so much stuff that slowed down your phone. So I quit using them. Now, it's much easier to switch to a different phone than it would be, to switch a car. I guess you could sell it and buy another one, so it's not really hard, but it's more of a cost. I just think they need to figure out, if it's something I've already paid for, don't gate it. Don't say, oh, well, if you want to flip the on switch virtually, here you go, pay us all this money, because I already paid for the part. Don't make me go in and if you're going to try to void my warranty because I went in and put a toggle switch on this heated seats that you put into my car, don't void my warranty, because you're holding me ransom for it.
So I couldn't agree with you more, Brian, and I'm incredibly outraged about this as well. I don't sound like it because we brought this upon ourselves. Everybody wants
we
to
accepted it in small things.
Exactly. And now we have told these companies that this is an appropriate thing to do. We have allowed it in literally every other facet of our lives without sticking up and saying anything about it. And now that it's finally gotten to a point where it's beyond ridiculous for most people, most of the other things were ridiculous for you and I, Brian. We've been talking about microtransactions in the sense of video games for, at this point, nearly almost a decade. I mean, we've been talking about the ridiculous microtransactions in video games. You spend $75 on a game, and then they're constantly pestering you to drop 10, 15, 30 bucks here and there. It's ridiculous. But we've allowed this. Mobile games, the mobile game marketplace is making billions of dollars a year on microtransactions. So from a business standpoint, this makes perfect sense. You'd be an idiot not to try and do this.
You want to hear how they're framing this?
The consumers want it, Brian. They're spending the money on it in every other facet of their life. They do. And I hate. I know that's I know I sound like some shill for BMW, but we've told them we love doing this. We will spend billions of dollars a year on things like this. Why would they not want to do it? It's a marketplace that they can profit handsomely from. How are they saying it or laying it out?
Here's how they're framing this.
Sure.
They said the hardware for this feature has already been installed in your vehicle during production at no extra cost. So they're saying so nice. They put it in there free, but you can't use it because they just put it in there for free, but you're paying for it when you purchase the subscription. What are you talking about? If I own that car, you can't come and take it back. You can't come and take the heated seats module out of the car because I decided not to subscribe to your feature, right? That is one of the most lawyeristic ways to say that I have ever heard in my life. That you did not put it in at no extra cost. They paid $80,000 to $90,000 or $95,000 for this vehicle, and you're telling me you put in heated seats at no extra cost? If this was a free car, then you could microtransaction me all over the place if I'm willing to take that free car. But it's not a free car. It's $95,000 car. I think what we're going to see in the future to do this is you can get a discount on your vehicle if you choose not to activate all the features, right? Sure. And then you can activate all the features by paying over time, because I know people are going to be like, man, I really want these heated seats. All right, I'll pay you $750 for these stupid heated seats when you didn't pay it. But we gave you the $750 discount when you purchased the vehicle so that you wouldn't have, just to save you some money. No. That's not how it works.
Now let me. I will say this: the saving grace in all of this is that because these features are already hardware installs and this is just software, there will absolutely be a widget, a gadget, a module, a something that that folks will be able to install if they want to. And let's also be clear, and again, I'm not justifying it, But if you're spending $95,000 on a car, is $300 a year for heated seats even something you care about? $95,000 for a car is an incredible amount of money.
Yes. Yeah.
That is not...
Back in the day, you could buy a house for that around here. I mean, that's what $95,000 here back, 25 years ago could get.
Yeah, but you can go to rural areas and buy land and a house
there's
for $100,000.
Yeah.
So let's be clear. I'm not justifying it all, but this is not a $12,000 car that people are going to mod. Do you think somebody that goes out and buys a $95,000 BMW is going to even bother trying to find some Reddit post or some gizmo or widget on eBay to get their heated seats? No, they're just going to spend $300 more. Who cares?
And that's the probably thing. They know their audience. I think that's what it is. They know their audience.
And that's part of it too, is again, knowing your audience. And if you're going to charge $95,000 for a car, is it really ludicrous to ask another It is. Yes. It's a rhetorical question, but are people going to have this visceral reaction to, $350? What is a car payment on a $95,000 car? $700?
It's got to be
$900 a month?
To $1,000 a month. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So is $300 a year even a relevant number?
Yeah, and that's what they're probably counting on.
The answer is no.
Imagine doing this in a Honda. Imagine in a Honda them trying to pull this, or a Mazda.
Exactly. I'm not justifying it, but I'm saying from a business perspective and from that standpoint, I know this makes me a terrible, awful capitalist. I need to be, hung in the streets. Fine, whatever. Come get me. People have already indicated they're willing to do this. And let's be clear. How is this any different than charging for any other luxury feature? I guess the concern is that the hardware is already in the vehicle and they're charging for software. I get that.
That's the thing. Their hardware for the ability to turn on something that's already there. That's what gets me. If it were something like a non-needed feature, like the sound of your motor going, that I don't need that, right? To drive the car, to take full advantage of everything in my vehicle, I don't need that.
It gets me too, but I don't think in the luxury world something like this is crazy and outlandish.
Well, and if you think the culture of South Korea too is
I don't know anything
very
about
different
that either.
from America.
Yeah.
I do know about the culture of South Korea, and they are a very highly just status-driven, capitalism gone on steroids society, because they've got revolted so hard against North Korea in that way that South Korea is just all about money. And just to a point where it's kind of not good anymore. If you look at where they complain about capitalism here, South Korea has a capitalism that's very different, to where it's kind of messed up their society, in my opinion, a little bit. And so maybe they found that they could do this here, and this is kind of a status symbol, and then people are willing to do this. For them, it's not a big deal. I think my scary thing is, are they going to try to say, well, I've broken some terms of service by somehow activating this on my own? I think they probably will. That's where I'll say, you don't own my car anymore. When I purchased it and drove it off the lot, just like a cell phone, I shouldn't be locked out of this, and they still do that stupid thing here. They shouldn't be able to say, once I've purchased this vehicle, I should be able to mod it and do whatever. I should be able to pull the engine out. I should be able to put whatever stereo I want into there. You can void my warranty if you want, but you can't sit there and complain to me and try to disable anything in my vehicle once I drive it off that lot. That's what it comes down to. Maybe I can't use your service, but I can do it other ways.
I don't disagree, but you bring up a great point about cell phones, and it's the exact same thing. I went out and spent
We accept it here, and it frustrates me so much.
I spent $1,100 on an iPhone, and guess what? I have to use iMessage. I don't have another choice. Now, yes, I can use other messaging apps, but I have to use iMessage. It's the default messaging app. I can't change it. There are things that are locked in there.
That's the stuff that frustrates me. You pay that much money for a hardware device. Why are you limiting what I can do on it? Sure, you want to have some security features, but don't limit it.
I get it. I'm just saying we have this is our own fault. We have allowed this, and now the roosters are coming home to roost, and everybody's all pissed off. Why? We have made that. We have normalized this. We did not put our foot down over the last decade or so when this really started taking off. We allowed it and said, "Oh, it's okay. But it's an iPhone, Brian. It doesn't matter. It's a Mac. It's okay that they're going to charge me $1,700 for a Visa mount. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter." And then BMW does it, and we go, "Oh my god!"
Do you want to know where all this started? Do you want to know where all this started? Because I've seen this unroll over time. I mean, originally radio with ads, right? That's normal. We accept it. It's a free service that you're receiving over the air.
Yeah, correct.
Then there's TV with ads over the air free. But then all of a sudden they started putting ads in cable television where there weren't ads before.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay. They were like, oh, people didn't push back too hard. Sure, they're paying $100 a month for stupid TV. Now we can pack tons of ads in, and they're still paying for it, and we accepted that. Then they moved on to phones and everywhere else. Oh, and then now they're talking about in video games, putting ads in video games while you play them, while you're driving down the street and there's an ad playing.
My favorite example.
I mean, we've accepted it, and we're not complaining enough.
My favorite example is Hulu.
Weather.
Yeah, there's a weather alert. Something is going on here. My favorite is Hulu, which you pay
a monthly subscription.
Well, yeah, but there's multiple tiers, but there's like a $10 or like now maybe it's like a $6 or $5 version of Hulu. You pay for it, and then you still watch ads. So it's like,
I know,
but we've accepted that, and we said, "Oh, it's okay. It doesn't matter." I mean,
yeah, I know, and that's
and then
we've let it happen slowly in every area. It's going to creep in the aspect of our life because no one has said that is enough. No more. Everybody's like, "Oh, but you say you'll give me a little bit more if I let you do this and this and this. How about you just give me what I pay for? That's what I want. Quit putting ads in something I pay for." When they do pre-rolls on a subscription service, what are you talking about?
This is the face.
Yeah.
This is now this is what we look like. We're so surprised.
Like, what? I accepted it in all these other areas of my life, but now you're doing it in a thing that's kind of important to me.
But here's and also the other thing too. This isn't important because nobody at PC Gamer writing this story is affording a $95,000 BMW. So
I know on a writer's salary, a game journalist salary. Believe me, they're not.
Believe me, I work in media. Believe me, yeah. I mean, I'd be lucky to be driving a cardboard box to work with my salary. So we're good to go. All right. Where do we go from here? If you'll run the show for a minute, I need to go and do something really quick related to that alarm that went off. So take us somewhere.
All right, so let's go ahead and do this. First of all, let's talk about China here for a minute, and I'm interested to get Nick's opinion when he gets back from his weather alert. China they're creating a mind-reading porn detection hat or cap that you put on. Nick, we're supposed to come back for this.
Well, I'm sitting here. I'm trying to post something. I'm trying to post a couple things and get ready for something here on social.
Okay, I know this kind of caught you off.
Yeah, I'm sorry. They've done a what?
Okay. They're creating a mind-reading porn detection cap so that they can censor people to tell if they're looking at porn while on the internet. Now, of course, where else could they take this?
But I've got a stupid comment on this. Why are they making a porn? Why don't they just put a system on your computer or your phone that looks at the actual video or the picture? Why would you need a mind-reading hat? You have to like obviously, I guess you could go and physically buy pornography. I'm not sure if that's a thing you can do in China. I don't know.
They're worried. Okay.
Yeah,
okay, they've got, there's satellite internet. There's other ways that there's ways to get the internet, in some places in China still. And so they've got to figure out, but if you're willing to put on the mind detecting porn hat.
Oh yeah, of course. You have to physically put it on.
You have to but where's this going to go? Here's my worry. Are they going to put it into your head or attach it? Because what's Elon Musk working on right now? Do you know?
What's it called?
Neuralink.
The name of it. Yeah, Neuralink. Yeah, of course.
Neuralink. He's working on something that taps into your brain so that your brain communicates with a computer. At what point are they going to require you to plug yourself into the device you're getting ready to use? that will then use some sort of DNA confirming thing to know that it's you plugged into there, and then they're going to be sitting there and reading your thoughts while you look at the computer to make sure that nothing you're looking at is something you're not supposed to look at.
Now,
let me talk about 1984 all over again.
Yeah, but how is this? I'm trying to figure out how are they going to differentiate porn from sex?
No, well, I guess maybe, I don't know. Are you supposed to? They're only allowed to have one child there, so maybe.
Yeah, but I think you're allowed to have sex. I think. Yeah, I'm not.
Maybe
sure.
they temporarily just when you're during your week that you're allowed to make your baby. Maybe they turn off your mine detection hat for a bit. Okay, they say that right now, it's
I agree with Green Man.
Accurate.
I agree with Green Man. He says he wants to try. I would love to see how something like this works.
Well, okay, so right now, the research consisted of 15 male volunteers. Look, signing up for this in China.
15?
They're like, hey, 15
That's
volunteers, aged 20 to 25.
There's like a gazillion people in China, and they have 15 people?
But when you're corrupting their future, you could only sacrifice 15 of these.
Jesus.
Who knows what they do with them after because they've been corrupted. They probably put them in a camp for the rest of their life. You're like, you can look at porn for a couple of weeks for our test. Of course, you're going to have to be in a camp for the rest of your life so you don't infect anyone else. But, you're what small price to pay, right?
Yeah,
come on.
We do it for Chairman Mao.
So 15 male volunteers, 2025, and they were shown porn. Well, of course, it would have to be straight porn because they mentioned in here homosexuality is legal but frowned upon in China, so they probably didn't do that.
Okay.
And it was 80% accurate. They showed them pictures of non-porn and porn, and 80% of the time they could tell whether or not they were looking at porn. You could also put, they're spending a lot of money for something they could just attach something down below that would probably do just as well and be 100% accurate.
Really? and again, and I say, why not a piece of software on the device or the computer or something like that does all of this? They manage and maintain everything else. So why is this any different?
And this is where I think that's what scares me, is because it's obviously not because a person's willing to put on a hat. Because if you're going to do something is wrong, you're not going to put the hat on at that time, right? I'm concerned that it comes down to they're going to once Neuralink or that type of technology is nailed down, force people to tap into their computer, and then they will do things to censor. This is a hat that they put on. It doesn't make sense because the person has to voluntarily do it. They have to voluntarily put a hat on. So why are you doing something? It's like saying, if you put on this hat, it can tell if you're speeding on the freeway. Okay. Well, how about I take off the hat, speed for a bit, put the hat back on, and then I go the speed limit. Yeah,
Brian, you've really ousted the Chinese government on this one. You've really outplayed them. Yeah,
I know. If only they had me in the original planning meeting for this. They're like, oh, we didn't think of that. I can't believe we didn't think of. They take the hat off. Oh, we told them to keep it on. Yeah. So this is their current censorship tactic that they're using to try to tackle porn in China. So we'll see where it goes. But yeah, they were shown explicit imagery, and it would trigger and say, hey, this is a bad image, and there you go. So that is currently in China. We'll see where it goes from there.
I'd like to cover, if I could choose two different things that we cover. There's a list of games that we need to look at towards the end of the show.
Yes.
But first I want to briefly talk about CD Projekt Red and Cyberpunk 2077. Again, I don't like, Brian, I'm not somebody that likes to pat myself on the back at all and say that I did such a phenomenal job pontificating something, but I did. I nailed Cyberpunk 2077. I nailed it completely. Unfortunately, because it ended up being a really rough launch for the game. It was rough. It was broken. It was very frustrating for a lot of folks, myself included, on launch. So
can I read your prediction and the date of your prediction?
Oh, sure.
People.
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah. What did I say?
I think it was August 27th of 2019.
Okay.
You said Cyberpunk is overhyped and will fall short of expectations.
I mean,
That was your prediction.
Okay. So
Okay,
I did.
With that going forward, now let's see what happened.
Well, that was a pretty generous. It's not that it just fell short of expectations. The game was not playable on launch. I thought it was just going to. I thought it was going to be completely overhyped.
Okay, wait. But you started to say will be a failure, but then you kind of said, well, you backed off of that a little bit. You started with you did say will be a failure, and you said no. Okay, listen. And so I crossed out failure. And then you said it'll fall short. I think you didn't want to,
Well, I didn't want to look like a complete moron.
But you were right the first time. You didn't have to backtrack and say, it'll fall short. You were right with failure.
Yeah, I was. But now we're learning a little bit more why that failure. And of course, and any good company, CD Projekt Red is saying it is somebody else's fault and not their own. There is a new internal report that has been given towards a group called the Upper Echelon Gamers. And in this report, apparently it's some sort of internal document, and it reads and shows that there was a third-party company that CD Projekt Red hired,
Quantic Lab,
contracted Quantic Lab to do their QA. And apparently Quantic Lab either misrepresented themselves as to how big they were, what their abilities were, or what they had access to, and apparently just totally blew smoke up CD Projekt Red's ass throughout the entire development process, that the game was good, they had a bunch of things solved, and it wasn't, the issues weren't game-breaking, and it wasn't as bad as they thought, and apparently, all of that was a lie, because the game was incredibly bug-ridden and broken on launch, and it's taken... But let's be clear, though. It wasn't just bugs that were the problem for this game. There was some major gameplay improvements and features that were missing on launch, too. So while I'm sure some of the frustration for many folks is the physical, the bugs in the game, there was many of other shortcomings as well. Because it took them a year to get it ironed out.
And it didn't feel like an open world game.
No.
Because that's what looking at their other games that CD Projekt has made. Witcher is a big open world game. And this, that's what I was looking forward to, was just kind of go around the city, kind of like what I do with Rockstar games, with GTA, and Red Dead Redemption 2. I love just going around and discovering things and exploring. I had no desire to explore in Cyberpunk because it didn't feel like it. It felt like it was just laid out so you could go from quest objective to quest objective. There was no side things happening. Very much on rails.
Where it wasn't really on rails, but it kind of was.
But there wasn't. But if you went somewhere else, there was a quest over there, but there wasn't anything cool to find. I wasn't ready for that quest over there, so I'm not going over there. Where I didn't think about that with Red Dead Redemption or GTA. I'm going over there because there might be something really cool that I've not seen yet. Where I knew with how much of Cyberpunk I had seen up to that point, I was like, I know there's nothing cool over there. There's another quest that's going to lead me off somewhere else. That's all that there is. And that was what was really disappointing. I was expecting, especially in a Cyberpunk world where there's so much imagination and just fantasy of the way that it's built, and all of the modules, and they could have done so much. And I felt like they didn't deliver. Sure, it was an on-rail story that was an okay story. The ending didn't work out very well, I didn't think, and especially doing all these different separate endings where I wasn't even motivated to play through the endings again to see the 6 different endings or whatever they had. That's what really got me. Where what I did with Red Dead Redemption 2. Oh yeah. I played every quest on that, and I tried to find every little thing. If there's a rabbit that for some reason, if you look at the rabbits, here's the thing interesting about Red Dead Redemption 2. If you follow the rabbits and you chase a rabbit and it runs up to a tree, there's a hole in the side of the tree, it'll run into that hole in the tree. Little things like that. Those are the cool things that I found, where the AI was so messed up on Cyberpunk that what was the point? If they couldn't even get the AI to operate in a normal fashion, I knew they weren't doing any of the other cool stuff. And if they were, shame on them.
Yeah,
I that would have made me more pissed if they took the time to put in these little features that are like, oh, that's cool, but then their AI was such a mess and buggy. I just knew that with how buggy it was, there's no way that they took the time to do anything else. They were pushing to try to hit that deadline. and they didn't really even hit the deadline.
Well, and that's why I want to,
boom shakalaka.
I want to make sure that our expectations are clear with this. And I want to thank, before we do that, I want to thank our friend Green Man Cartoons and UGX Vibe, both for hitting us up with resubscriptions here during the program. Tier 1 subs, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. I don't think it's fair to say all of this is this quantum leap or quantum computing fault or
Can't be
whatever
100% them.
Quantic lab.
There is
no, it's not
oversight.
100% them. Yeah.
There has to be oversight. There's no way that we're going to trust everything you say up to production. And sure, all the code that we're doing just looks like it's falling apart. But you know what? You guys are testing. You're saying it's all good and fixed by the time it gets there. That's not how it works.
And that's exactly now what people are going to have to try and decipher is, okay, is there some truth to this? Oh, I'm sure. Because if you're a company, Brian, and you say, hey, we're going to charge you $500,000 to QA your game, or $1 million or 10 million, whatever it is. And then you get into it and you realize, oh crap, it should actually cost double the amount of, double the amount that we charge them. And we don't have the staff. You're not going to want to go back on that because you're going to lose the contract. You're going to lose the whatever money you were already in on, the $500,000 or whatever it was. So I'm sure there was some level of, all right, let's just double down and figure this out. That in itself, if this is true, and I don't know, where are they? Sweden? Norway? Some Slavic country.
I thought it was, I thought it was Poland.
Poland. So
I think they're Poland.
Whatever country they're in. I don't know what the legal system is there, but if this
Polish,
is true.
they're Polish. That's what it is.
I don't know what the Poland legal system looks like, but if this report is true, this internal document that leaked, CD Projekt Red needs to sue these people for malice because they caused serious, irreputable damage to CD Projekt Red, which is the next point, is that their stock is worth a quarter of what it was prior to the launch of Cyberpunk.
It went down 75%. The stock went down 75%. Now, this would be a time to buy it because they've got another Witcher game coming out.
But hold on, let's be clear. There's lots of stocks that have struggled. We are in serious, the world's economy is not in the greatest shape right now. So there is definitely some impact of that. But
yeah, it's not 100% this. All stocks are down across the board.
But there is still some of it here that needs to be looked at as this game was very much a flop and is an egg on the face of CD Projekt Red.
Well, in the harm to their company's reputation. Now, as a person who does this kind of work, software work, and I integrate into other companies, can I tell you what they should have done? And if they didn't do this, then it's their fault as well. I don't know if they're paying a company to do this. How are they not integrating one or more of their employees into that company to help with this testing? There should have been employees of theirs that are working on site at this testing company that should have brought this to notice. Said, hey, there's not enough employees. There's not of this happening. There's these falling through the cracks, and they would have been able to catch this early. Now, if there were people that were on site and they didn't call this out, then this is a total failure on their part to take control of it and to say, hey, either this company, you people here need to hire more people. You need to, change the standards, whatever it is that they needed to change at this. Was it Niantic Lab or
Quantic Labs?
Quantic Labs, whatever they would have need to have done to get the proper resources, employees, whatever. There should have been people on site, and they should have had someone in the management level over there that's their employee that's overseeing that this is going at the correct pace and is going as it should. Because we deal with this kind of stuff with clients all the time, where sometimes they don't have the client that we're doing work for, their on-site employees or their structure isn't set up to be able to do certain size of projects. And you know what we tell them? Well, we have people here that have managed those sides of projects. How about you bring our person into your company? We'll manage this project. We'll get it to where, and we can even help train people that are your employees to be able to manage this size of a project. And then that way, after it's done, you can carry it forward and you can do it next time. But if you don't have the people and you're not willing to hire the person who's able to do it, then bring someone in from the company that's able to do it. And for it to have gotten to the end like this, they obviously didn't.
Well, but there is an other angle of this as well that I think needs to be discussed too, and then I want to move on. But could this also have been CD Projekt Red, Brian, not accurately laying out what was expected from this company and maybe misrepresenting? Now, I don't know how you bid something like this out. I don't know if you bid it out in terms of hours or manpower. I don't know how you bid something like this.
Usually you'll do it in stages. Yeah, you'll put, to do certain stages, here's our estimated cost. Or hours that it's going to need to do, and then you're trying to reach it, but you got to gauge it by each section, and then if one section's behind, you adjust, and you don't start the next one or even start counting it until the first one's done.
So is it possible that CD Projekt Red maybe misrepresented how much work this was actually going to be? How much, and could it have been a situation where they thought that this QA group was going to have to do very little QA? Because they were under the impression that the game off the shelf out of the studio would be relatively polished. And it turned out maybe all the bugs, Brian, maybe those were what were left. Maybe there was thousands of other bugs or hundreds of other bugs that were patched and reported by this company. And there was still that stuff that I refuse to believe that this company didn't do a damn thing, because this game was broken beyond belief on launch. So it leads me to believe that maybe CD Projekt Red gave them a much worse state game that they were anticipating and expecting, and that caused this to ensue.
Well, and that's very, very possible too, because what we expect going into a project is a very clear list of requirements. Exactly what you need. If you want us to bid something, you have to give us a document that tells us exactly what you want. Then we look at what it's going to take to make what you want. And that's what we do our bid off of. If you're very vague in that document, guess what? We cannot give you an accurate bid. So, they haven't made a game for a while, right? I mean, Witcher, the recent Witcher is a fairly old game. And they were building
13?
Something
14,
like that, yeah. And they were building off of previous revisions of the game. And so that's something where you already have an existing code base that you're then adding to, and so that saves a lot of bugs because that have already been ironed out by multiple previous versions that you've released. Here you're working with a totally new code base. I think that there's a good chance they may have not realized. They're saying, oh well, in our last project we did, here's how we handled it. Well, your last project wasn't a fresh from the ground up project. This is. So that could be very possible that they didn't realize that they were going to need a lot more testing because the original version of Witcher was a much smaller project, on much more older technology. And then, then you were adding and fixing and adding over many years, and within a new version of the game, where here, this is a one shot, you're making it from scratch type of a thing. And I just think that it could have been a failure from both parts. But whatever it was, the recipe ended up being, a disaster when it should have been something that, being that they had experience making games and they've done this before, they should have made a game that was less buggy in the first place. I think it's because they've waited so long and they're using their own internal engine, which is probably a huge part of the failure as well, because they were trying to make their engine have all these ray tracing and all these latest features when they haven't had that in any previous ones. I bet you a lot of it comes down to their engine being so buggy that this company couldn't keep up. Can you pin that 100% on them?
No. So let's just say they told the company, all right, we expect you to fix 100 bugs, 200 bugs, or point these because again, these guys weren't developing the game. They were reporting the bugs, figuring out the steps to reproduce that, and then sending that back to CD Projekt Red. We expect about 200 bugs in the game. What if there was 800?
Well, there's probably thousands.
But let's just say you put out this bid and said, hey, we're going to find a company that's going to help us get rid of QA 200 bugs for us. And it's double or triple that number. How can you blame that company? The proposal, the bid wasn't accurate. And that might not even necessarily be a fault of CD Projekt Red. They didn't know.
Well, let's say they find these bugs and then they submit them back to CD Projekt Red for them to troubleshoot and fix them. What if if CD Projekt Red isn't fixing them fast enough, or let's say they're not fixing them in a way maybe they're fixing them in a way that was creating more bugs. There is a recipe for disaster. If CD Projekt Red, I keep saying Red because that's one of their things, but if CD Projekt was, let's say they received the bugs and they fixed them quickly, and they actually fixed them to where it didn't create more bugs, for the most part, then this company would say, okay, here's new bugs. But when you have more bugs that then come from having fixed the previous bugs, sometimes it just gets to be a snowball that you can't keep up with, and there's a very good chance that that's what they ran into.
Self-fulfilling
CD Projekt Red
prophecy.
wasn't able to fix them in a clear enough and concise enough way to where you felt like you were checking them off the list. All you're doing is shuffling them around the board.
Yeah, and then you're running up against your deadline. So whose fault is it? Who needs to be blamed for everything? I don't think we have any more clarity on that now. But it is interesting to note that if this was truly if this is truly the how do I say this? If this company, Quantum Labs, was truly misrepresenting as bad as CD Projekt Red is claiming in this document, allegedly, well, they need to take legal action against them, because that is illegal. I mean, that's clear malice. And you could seriously make the argument about punitive damages and things of that nature due to our company losing 70% of its stock value since the launch of the game. The fact that they haven't done that makes me maybe wonder if there's more to the story than that. So,
yeah, and it's going to be, it's most likely it'll be a combination of the two.
Correct.
I think there's going to be some mishandling and mismanagement at CD Projekt Red, and there's probably going to be some mishandling and mismanagement at Quantic Labs as well. But a court case, them doing a discovery and figuring out the contracts and what was promised, and then looking at what was delivered. It's going to come down to a judge looking and saying, hey, who dropped the ball here? Or, I wouldn't be surprised if there's not really anybody who's punished. If they're both at fault, it's kind of a mutual fault. Because Quantic Lab's going to sue them for not doing their job and making it more difficult than it should have been. I mean, where does it stop? And we'll see. It'll have to go forward, but it is frustrating because I really wanted that game to be good. I wanted it to be another Red Dead Redemption. I wanted it to be another GTA. I wanted it to be something, or even another Witcher. That's what I wanted it to be. And the fact that I haven't loaded it up again on my Xbox to play it through shows me that it just wasn't as fun as what they were promising it would be. And that's sad, because their other games are a lot of fun.
All right. Let's speaking of games that happen to be a lot of fun, Brian, there is a list here that PC Gamer has got that's called 9 upcoming survival games that aren't just chopping wood, mining ore, and repeat. The rinse and repeat structure that we typically see with games. So do you want to just tackle these one by one and just go through them? Because we've already talked about some of them. So let's start off with the first one here. It's called Retreat to Enen, E-N-E-N, is the game. And apparently it says it's a survival game where the ultimate goal is to relax. There is a couple of things in here. There's hunting, fishing, exploration, and base building, but it's not your traditional resource tree harvesting, constantly trying to find rocks to hit with axes kind of resource gathering. Apparently it's a little bit different. This looks like a pretty interesting game that is coming out. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, what they're saying is that this is coming in more of, rather than you're stuck somewhere trying to find things to eat, is the Earth, or whatever world the Sid has been destroyed somewhat. This is a little bit of a eco warrior type of a situation. But what they're wanting you to do is have it to where you kind of fix the forest. You make it to where the living environment is healthy again. And that's why they say, here's where it gets kind of weird, is, learning to center yourself and master the art of meditation. They said the systems were created in collaboration with mental health specialists.
Yeah, look at this. This is a little meditation area.
Yeah, so you go in there, you can sit down and meditate. And it says it's critical, for your health and survival abilities. And so they have it to where a lot of times you relax. This, you can tell there's some politics mixed into here, which always makes me nervous on a game. when they go super hardcore with save the environment type of stuff. But I'm totally down for a game where, hey, let's say there's a world where maybe there was nuclear war or something, it's destroyed, and your goal is to repair the world. So I'm giving a storyline here that may not exist in this, so that your ship that's been coming from some other place can land here and live again, right? That type of thing. What I'm worried about is there's so much gimmick to it, because are people really going to want to sit down and meditate in their game all the time? No. That's where if they push it too far to try to push this kumbaya type of stuff, they're going to make a game that's not fun. They need to balance it, make it to where the story is moving that forward, and not forcing you in the gameplay to sit there and do weird things just so that they can try to prove some point.
So that is called Retreat to Eden, and that is coming out on August the 5th. There's a full link to the 45-minute video you can see over on our website, infectionpodcast.com. What's the next one here, Brian?
All right, so this next one is kind of a similar thought process. Forever Skies. They say, once again, the Earth is in ruins, but it's not all doom and gloom. Your base is a blimp.
It's pretty cool.
And so you're a lone scientist. So they're going to be adding co-op in the future, I guess. But you're over like mangled cities and things like this. You dock your skyscraper, scrounge for supplies, craft gear, and things like that. And you're trying to uncover a cure for a deadly disease that wiped out most of humanity. That's, the survivors are hiding up in orbit, which is kind of like what I just said a minute ago. And then where they can come back down. Like, this is more of a story. The other one seems more gimmicky. This is when I said I envisioned something like this is what I was talking about. Your goal is to come down, fix Earth again so that it can be repopulated. That's a good idea to me. This one makes more sense than meditating, because you can get your center of, I feel happy with myself, be able to then save the environment.
That's pretty cool.
That's going a little far. Yeah, and they've got some, you can fly in space. They've got this one, to me, looks like it's going to be late 2022 that it's released, so at the end of this year. But this looks like more promise. I like the fact that they have the space part of it. They have a goal that you're aiming towards. I see this one possibly going somewhere.
And when is this one coming out?
The end of this year. Should be out. They should be releasing it now. That's going to be early access, not full release, but early access will come out at the end of this year.
Excellent. And that is also on Steam. You can go and add it to your wish list now. It just says 2022 on that. The next one is a game called I Am Future, which is the next one that is up on here. This is kind of a different survival game. This is not your traditional nitty-gritty down in the dirt survival game. This
more
one
cartoony on it.
Yeah, this one is a little bit more cartoony, absolutely. So you're actually a superhero of some way or some shape or form. You awake from a cryopod or some sort of stasis sleep mode, and you find that this city that you were either in or you are in is ruined. And now part of this is for you to
and most other people escape. Like most people left the planet, right?
Yeah, left the planet, left the city, whatever it is, and you can see waking up out of this cryopod here to all hell kind of being broken loose. So kind of I always talk about the arcadey games, Brian, that have that little bit more of the, all right, this is not just this, this nonsensical nitty gritty thing. This kind of looks like that, does it not?
Yeah, and one cool thing here is that they talk about, like, you can get an AI controlled bot that you can train to help do your chores for you. Yeah. They got fishing, farming, cooking, gardening, base building. So it's got, a lot of people that listen to our podcast enjoy. And I like the art style of it. It looks like it'd be something that's a little less serious. If you're looking for something that's a little more relaxing.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. But like that looks like a game, Brian, that you could just kind of pop open for a little bit and just kind of chill and play. Not every survival game needs to be, constant adrenaline, heart racing. I'm gonna lose all my stuff. Oh my God, I'm gonna kill myself. That doesn't need to be every single game. This doesn't look like it is. This looks interesting.
Yeah,
And,
I like the I like the feel of it. That's the thing, and I think that that's a little more relaxing because sometimes you play so many survival games and they're all just, you know, stressing you out almost because of how just sometimes realistic they are. You know, when the world's falling apart around you, sometimes you don't really need to want to play a game about the world falling apart around you. I mean, just being
very
honest.
true point. That is also out in 2022. We don't have an exact release date for that.
Okay. This next one's called Above Snakes. Now, I love how they preface this. I'm a little wary of games featuring Native Americans. I mean, come on,
Why?
PC Gamer. I mean,
why are you weary of games that
they
feature,
say unless there are Native Americans on the dev team. So you're saying you can't have a game that has someone who's Chinese in it unless you hire a Chinese person to work on the game? Are you serious? Like, why are you treating Native Americans as if they are not human?
Yeah, that's
honestly.
literally what they're saying.
Really? You're treating them like they're like a caricature of something. They're humans. My nephew is a high percentage of Native American. One of my sons is a large percent Native American. Are you going to tell me I'm racist?
Yes.
I mean, come on, people. Quit treating Native Americans like they are some. I saw something where it's like you're only allowed to have white people on covers of cereal and things like that because they took off all the people that weren't. It's like, why in the world you try to get people off thinking that you're protecting them from something, but when you take away, you say, well, you can't show anything about who they were. That's kind of a slap in the face. Don't you think?
Yeah, very much so.
I'm interested in Native American culture. I'm interested in all that.
It's
why
a
are you saying you
fucking
can't
video
have a game about
Who
Native
cares?
Americans?
It's a survival building game. Who cares what color or race they are? Why is that even a relevant conversation?
Yeah, it's like, okay, you have to hire a Native American consultant, but because you can't know anything about a Native American without hiring a consultant?
Well, that you might.
Really?
There's a lot of you hire consultants
Might help.
for everything. You would, yeah. They've probably done something like that anyway. You would typically hire a consultant.
But I'm not going to say, oh, I'm not buying this game. You know, you have a Chinese person. Where's your Chinese consultant? I want to see the form that shows that you did that you had the Chinese consultant on your thing.
Yeah, you hire
Really?
You hire consultants for movies and TV shows all the time. I mean, that's not. I just what a stupid premise. All right,
it's just kind of a weird. Anyways, sorry to get distracted. And so here, your world is generated by the player. And so as you explore the isometric world made by tiles, the player creates new world tiles and places them depending on what their needs are, therefore creating their own world. So you kind of design a tile, and then once you've designed that tile, you can place it. Yeah, you place it into your world, and then that's what you survive on. I think the concept is pretty cool. And hey, quit trying to erase the Native American culture. Because if you're not allowed to put them in video games and represent them in any way, what are you trying to do? You're trying to act as if they don't exist. You want to know where they do that kind of things? In countries where there's no freedom. So get over it and let us put people that are Native American in there because they're not being disrespectful. The game is talking about building all these things. Let them be represented too. Goodness sakes. Anyways, so you build this, and then you control those biomes, and you can pop up and explore them, gather and craft in them, survive in them. And there's supposed to be zombies in the games, that you're fighting against. And this is going to be is currently in alpha. It's expected to launch early 2023.
Nice. I like the isometric look.
It looks very cool.
It's very aesthetically pleasing.
Yes, and there's the zombies that seem to come out at night or something. This is kind of a time when there was the Old West and infringing on the West lands and everything.
Yeah,
they could do it very well. PC Gamer, quit putting your opinion into these reviews about politics. Leave it to games. Leave it alone. Anyways, the next one is called Derelicts.
Yes, Derelicts.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Derelicts is the next game. This is a little bit more of your traditional nitty-gritty survival game. In this one, you are either found or you show up on some old ancient piece of equipment to find that the Earth is just littered with radiation and just a very kind of suboptimal world that you're in. And throughout the process of that, you go through, and this is your traditional building and crafting game where you are chopping trees, gathering rocks and things of that nature to to kind of, you can see, so you got some mutant creatures there dealing with the radiation. PC Gamer says it's got a little bit of a Rust look. It does have that.
Yeah.
This looks like a full-fledged like A to Z survival game.
Yep.
Like it looks like it's got all the features, and it looks it kind of got a Force look to it too.
Yeah, it's got co-op. It's got a little Satisfactory in it. If you look at how they're doing the base building, which I think is good.
I like that kind
so
of
it's mixing
building,
a couple different game genres. And allowing you to do crafting in a way that continues to build upon itself. Because that's the hard part of a lot of this, is when you have to put in so much time going and gathering wood. I mean, look at how much time we went and gathered little materials in H1Z1. Here they're kind of saving that time, because I think that's what people get frustrated with on a lot of survival games, is how much time it consumes to really get anywhere in it. Where
this
here,
looks like that
you can build the base. Yeah, well, but you can build a base that continues to generate things, or makes that crafting get you more. Whether it's just on the surface type of thing. That's what it looks like. And then they got some stuff in space as well, so it looks pretty crazy. There's a lot to it. Hopefully, there's not so much to it to where the thing just doesn't work.
That's my concern, because this game has got a release date of TBA. They don't have anything.
Hey, do you want to know what scares me though? This is a one-person developer.
I mean that's a problem. You get too big for your britches, no question about it.
That's where it comes down to. How much are they going to be able to do as a one-person developer?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. This is all in game.
Make a promise in game and bring a team on.
That whole trailer was in game. Was all gameplay. So hopefully,
there's a lot in there. The guy's done whoever it is has done an amazing job of getting that far. But as far as getting to release, that's why it says TBA. There's a lot to do. How much of that is surface that is really buggy or maybe doesn't really work? It looks like they've made a lot, but if it's super buggy and they don't have the people to really continue to expand it and grow it once it's put out and people are starting to test it in alpha, and then the bugs start coming in and then they are fixing bugs rather than putting in new features, that's where the problem happens. You need to have a team where you can fix bugs and continue creating content. One person cannot do that. That's where this is going to come to a dead stop. But if this is just to get a proof of concept so you can maybe put it to a Kickstarter type of thing or hire on a team because they see that there's promise in it, there you go. But something's going to have to change. You're not going to get this going forward with a one developer.
Agreed. What's next on the list?
Well, we've talked about Sons of the Forest. Is that something that we could cover again?
We could just say it comes out in October of this year. We've already pretty heavily talked about Sons of the Forest, which is the second. I think it's after the Forest.
It's after the Forest, yeah.
Forest
so
2. Let's just call it that. Forest 2.
Forest 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that will be coming out in October. We'll see. It could be good. Hopefully, it's what the Forest was plus a lot of enhancements and multiplayer and all those things.
Yeah.
Built better. The next one's Nightingale, and this one's supposed to be out in early access towards the end of this year.
Nice. Okay.
This is one. Yeah, so this one's done in more of a Victorian style. And they call it the Victorian gas lamp fantasy style. It looks very different. It's got a kind of an alt history backstory on it, where the discovery of magic kind of impacts human civilization. It's got crafting, estate building. It's got a lot of things going on here, where in a system where you can create new realms to explore, where you're crafting special cards. There's ways. They say there'll also be ways around combat with certain factions by solving conflicts with compromises. So it's not all about conflict. I don't know. It looks way different. It's going to be in early access pretty soon. What they show as far as the video, the graphics look good. I like the idea of having a game where there's something else kind of behind it that you're building towards, which is kind of like an achievement system. Some games do it through a crafting system. They're doing it through these cards, which maybe unlock certain things. But I mean, look, it looks like it's done with a fairly large team. Their co-op will support up to 10 players. Yeah, it's got a kind of a trippy look. Hopefully this is something good that's not just a really well done trailer. Yeah. But you craft these realm cards, which I think then create other environments
Look
that
at
you
these
can then go
creatures. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Look at
It's
this
an
thing.
alt.
Holy
It's
moly.
an alt history type of a
Like
world.
it's like a oh my god. What's the Never mind.
So, all right. So that is Nightingale. And the next one is Frostpunk 2. Now there was a Frostpunk 1, which is a survival game. I owned it, but I've never really played it.
I think I
And
own
I've heard
it too.
people, yeah, I've never really sat down and played it. But of course, people, from what I've heard, really like the game.
Yeah, so this
it's a city builder. So
it is a city builder. But as I'm sure you can gather from the name Frostpunk, it takes place in a suboptimal temperature situation. You can see here the some sort of maybe an oil refiner, I guess you call this, that's completely frozen over. And for this, it's gonna obviously it's 30 years after the megastorm that ended the campaign in the original game. Spoiler alert. Where all of the humans are still suffering as the endless winter has just gone on for at this point nearly 30 years. The age of coal is over, and now they're working on oil, but there are issues related to that as well. So that's the story that you're going to play through in this one, 30 years after this storm, and this one is taking place all in the frostbite of this.
And the graphics are really good. The original one, from what I've heard, is really good. So definitely one to check out because they've delivered on a previous game, which gives me hope that they'll deliver on a game like this.
Yeah, I'm looking at
I think it will be one that's successful.
And I'm looking at Frostpunk. This game came out in 2018. It's got very positive reviews on Steam. 91% of its overall reviews, which it's got about 67,000 of them, are positive. So, it's also
definitely one that could be worth checking out.
A single player campaign, which means it has an end time. It's not your entire life that you're putting in. You play through the story, you play through the campaign. Frostpunk 2.
I think they're finding that people like that.
Yeah, I mean, I do.
Because Valheim was one that I think made developers realize, and this one too, people don't always want to play on a server with a bunch of other people, because guess what other people do? They mess with your stuff. Sometimes people want to do a survival game and make progress and feel like they're making achievements that aren't going to be destroyed by some random 6-year-old or 12-year-old running down through the map. I mean, that's just how it works.
To be announced on the release date for that as well.
Yes, and then one more. This one's Occupy Mars. And here, this one, they said that there's a lot of complexity and realism. It looks like it kind of has a silly feel to it. But, you are building a base, searching for things to extract water, setting up solar arrays so you can power your colony, growing food in the greenhouses and things like that, because you're starting out in an environment that's Mars. There's pretty much nothing there. It's something that they keep talking about we're going to be doing here in supposedly my lifetime, but this is very much that. It's taking nothing and creating something from it. It could be a very fun game, but it's going to be, how's the progression?
I don't.
Do you feel like you're always kind of? Do you feel like you're always kind of growing in it? Does it feel like it gets stale and stall halfway through the game? That's hard to say, but it looks like from what they're showing,
this is
be a great game.
This is very cinemamized. I don't like this at all.
That scares
I don't
me
like this
is
at all.
when they don't show real gameplay.
Yeah, this is incredibly overdone.
Yep. And so when you're doing this doesn't tell me what the game is going to be like. None of this is gameplay.
All their stuff on freaking Steam are these stupid damn pictures. These very cinematic photos.
So, this, we'll see. This is one that's going to be sometime this year. It will be released. Maybe it'll be good. Maybe it won't. I can't tell from that trailer.
All right,
It
here's
has
some
the capability of being good.
Here's some gameplay from a couple of weeks ago on YouTube. Apparently, nothing like of course, nothing like the trailer at all, which is what you would expect. It looks like it's first person.
This is more like a standard survival game.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look through. Yeah, so this is
It looks like there's promise, but it looks like a standard survival game done to Mars.
Yeah, this looks like an Unreal survival game with all of the Unreal assets to make it happen.
Yep. So there you go.
All right. Well, so that is a list of 9 games that are all expected to be out within the next about 16, 18 months or so, most of them coming out in either 2022 or probably 2023. If you want to check out this list or check out any of the games, there will be a link on our website, infectionpodcast.com. All right, Brian, we are running way long here.
Yes.
Can you tell folks where they can find you?
Yes, if you want to find me at Boise Computer on Gab, Parler, Getter, Truth Social. If you want to go to my blog, biteoftech.com, and of course you can go to infectionpodcast.com. And on there, we have a place where you can join our Discord server on the upper right-hand side. It's free to use. Totally, they have an app that works in the web browser, your phone, your computer. Totally free. And if there's news that you think we should be covering, maybe a topic that you want to have discussed on the next week's show, put it in the news channel. If you put a link there, we'll review it for the next show. And if it's something that we think will fit, we'll put it in our show notes. If you're interested in playing some Ark, we've got 10 or 11, we have 11, I think, or something Ark servers running right now with all the different maps that you can go between. A lot of people playing on that, and that's all on Discord. If you want to watch the video forms of the podcast, and most of those, they're all live, and some of them have after-the-fact recordings. That's Twitch, YouTube, BitChute, and DLive. And then at the lower right-hand side, we have audio-only forms. So these are the podcast form of this, and those are uploaded after the show is done. And whatever podcast app you want to use, desktop app, there's a lot of different ways to listen to the show. And if you are going to be listening, one helpful thing would be to go to the particular show notes for that episode, and we've got links for all the different things we've discussed. We've got a video and audio player in there, and videos for things that we show during the show. Perhaps you're listening and you want to see a video that we're displaying, especially today. We showed a lot of videos. That's an excellent way to do it, and it's all right on the website. If you want to support the show, you can go to the support button up top or infectionpodcast.com/support, where there's Prime Gaming subs. You've heard a couple of those during the show. And we've got Humble Bundle and Subscribe Star and a lot of different ways that you can help support the show that hopefully will go towards doing some sort of in-person convention once the world becomes a little more normal.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I want to thank our friend UGX Vibe and Green Man Cartoons both for hitting us up with 50-plus month Tier 1 subscriptions. Gentlemen, it is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. Brian, thank you very much. We will see you next week, and thanks again.
Yep, thank you.
Alrighty, folks. Well, that is going to do it here for another episode of Infection. If you want to check out any of my antics or any of the things I work on, you can head on over to my website. It's nickcraig.com. Of course, if you missed any portion of this show, maybe you want to read about China's little hat thing they're working on, you can head on over to our website, infectionpodcast.com. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.